So Vivian, please.
Thank you. Excellencies, colleagues, and friends, first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to address you once again this year at Arctic Circle. I appreciate being given the time and space to do so. To say that it has been an eventful and challenging year is no understatement. When I stood here last year, Greenland was in a different place than we are today. The state of the Arctic was also in a different place. The focus and interest have increased even further, something we both see and feel in Greenland. The past year has made it clear that closer cooperation among states and peoples who respect the fundamental principle of international law, territorial integrity, self-determination, and democracy is more than vital than ever. With greater international interest comes the need for us to clearly state what we stand for, what our rules and regulations are, as well as what our priorities are. We take responsibility for the place we call home. We are masters in our own country, and we want that respected by others, and we ourselves determine the fate and future of our people and nation. Respect for laws and regulations are what any law-abiding person expert in any other country and situation. That is not too much to ask for. Nevertheless, we are also connected to the rest of the world. Our climate, environment, economies, and people are in an interconnected world closely aligned with each other. We need each other to address the common challenges we face. That is a basic fact, and fora like the Arctic Circle gives us a platform where we come together and address those challenges. In May, the Kingdom of Denmark took over the chairship of the Arctic Council. From Greenland's side, we are proud of the leading role we have for the next year and a half. The Council remains the preeminent forum for cooperation in the Arctic with important environmental and social mandates that requires our continued focus and attention. All Arctic state and indigenous peoples representatives confirmed this when in Tromsø, when we made this statement, and this statement was adopted from all the states in May this year. Our focus for the next 2 years is clear: to ensure the right of indigenous peoples and Arctic communities, to advance the sustainable economic developments and energy transition, to emphasize the importance of the ocean, which is vital to many economies and Arctic communities, to confront the essential issue of climate change. The effect on biodiversity will remain at the center of our agenda, and we will address them by advancing the action plans adopted by the Arctic Council. We are pleased to see that Council's 6 working groups are able to meet virtually and continue their important work. We will do our utmost to ensure that the work of the working groups remain active and that progress continues. In March, Greenland held parliamentary elections. 4 of 5 parties joined together to form a new coalition government. The first time such a broad coalition has been formed. This is also to emphasize that we are unified as a country in these challenging times we are in. At last parliamentary election, of the 31 members elected, 14 were women. Today, I'm honored to share this floor with 2 of my colleagues among the ministers in our government. Nathanielsen, Minister for Business, Mineral Resources, Energy, Justice, and Gender Equality. Nivi Olsen, Minister for Education, Culture, Sports, and Church. Thank you.
Please. Well, thank you very much indeed, and also compliment you on sticking exactly to the time limit. Before I open the floor to questions, since we just left the 2 senators on the screen, and as I indicated in my last question to them, I think everybody here in this hall is aware of what happened when President Trump took power. So maybe, I don't know which of you wants to answer that, whether you, Naaja, wants to do that. How do you, as Government of Greenland, now see the situation after this kind of, whatever you call it, diplomatic storm, political hurricane, or whatever you want to call it, that came out of Washington with the new sort of president? Are you pretty relaxed, or are you concerned, or are you nervous, or will it simply blow away?
Well,
yeah.
I think the shifting dynamics of geopolitics is not that new to us in Greenland. We are quite used to the effects of the world affecting us, being a small population. So this is maybe a more cyclic thing if you look at it in a wider picture. So I think what we do in Greenland is that we adapt, we assess what is happening, we adapt to the situation, like we've been doing for centuries, really. So of course it is serious. Of course we demand to be heard. But I also think that we are taking it as Inuit generally do. We adapt to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Very shortly, I think it's very important to mention that the cooperation between Greenland and United States is important for both of us. So find a solution is very important and vital, also because what the world looks today demands that you find a good solution, and if you look on our history, we have a very long cooperation with United States, and I think that we have been very clear that, of course, our geopolitical location is very important, but that also gives us a lot of responsibilities. And our security, it's not only a security for us, but also security for United States and Europe. So a good dialogue and trying to find a good way, it's what we do today.
Great. Nivi, you want to add something to this? Or?
I think that before Trump's come to say something, it have been harder to talk with world. And why should Trump say something before people listening to us? I think that's a comment from me.
Great. So let's get the lights up. And as they say, the floor is open. Let me reiterate, those of you who are sitting there at the back on the heightened level, the microphones are also for you to ask questions if you want to put them. But please raise your hands, and yes, we have here in the middle, here in the front, if you can move there quickly. We need people to be ready with a microphone. You can't just stand on the side. You have to look for where the hands come up. And please, if you raise your hand, keep them up so we see where next to go with the microphone. Yes, please.
I'm sorry, Birgitta Johansson, I'm a Swedish journalist. I would like to know a little more about this. You said you're master in your own home, but you still depend a lot upon Denmark, don't you? And regarding defense, for example, when I visited Greenland not very long ago, you were discussing whether you would apply for a membership in NATO on your own and not through Denmark. Could you explore a little more about this dependency and your defense? Thank you.
Let me take another question if I get a hand quickly. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Jessica Shady. I'm President and CEO for Arctic 360 in Canada. I'd just like to ask, Canada's going to soon have a consulate in Nuuk, and Greenland will be having one in Ottawa. There's a lot of interest in cooperation, at least from the Canadian side, to strengthen collaboration between Canada and Greenland. So I would just be curious to hear from all of you what you think are some, top 3 or some of the main points where we could be working together to strengthen collaboration.
Okay, let's take these 2 questions. Any one of you who wants to?
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, of course, living in Greenland, on the largest island in the world, and we are not so many. So we will always be dependent on have a cooperation with other countries. And today we have been focused very much on cooperating with the countries that is like-minded to us. Of course, we are part of NATO, being part of Kingdom of Denmark. But as situation is today, and the legislations that we have followed them and made a defense agreement together with Denmark. I think according to our geopolitical location and location in the world, and being a very large country with not so many people, you need to have a dialogue and cooperation with other countries. We will never be able to lift all the defense matters alone. And according to that, it is very important not only toward Denmark, but also to other countries that is members of NATO. And according to the second question, we made our strategy for 2 years ago, and in that we mentioned how important it is to have north-to-north cooperation, because we have so many things to share. All good experiences and all the challenges, we share the same. And if you look on history, we have cooperation north to south. But whom we can share so many challenges and also good things to share is very much north to north.
And I want to add to that, because when it comes to Canada, we do have a lot of cooperation already in terms of the mineral sector. But as Vivian correctly states, I think that north to north is also very important. And we recognize, as in Greenland, where the Inuit population is the majority, that that's not the case many other places. So there is a difference when you look to Canada between south and north. And we do share a lot of things culturally and in terms of living conditions with the north of Canada. And also there's a surplus of youth there that we might be able to use in our workforce. And I think there's a lot of things we have not tapped into yet that we want to develop further.
I think that I won't be wrong if I say that we have a land in the world which is richest in minerals, resources. I mean, we have fish, we have minerals, we have a lot of water and most pure air in the world. And therefore, I think that we have to increase the education in our people need education. And I think that cooperation between lands will be very important to increase the education. Like this in Iceland, you have expertise in online education. You're expert in it. And we have to cooperate that way that we can, for that our young people in future can use our resources in our land. So we need to do business.
Okay, so let us, yes, here, Össur.
My name is Össur, and I've been a very frequent observer and visitor to Greenland. Greenland, of course, famously is the only country that left the European Union. Recently, it seems to me that Greenland is warming up to the EU, and it's not long ago that we had the Prime Minister of Greenland visiting the European Parliament, and I would perhaps like to ask Vivian, is it possible that the feelings of Greenland and Greenlanders are warming to EU? And the second question is it possible that all these noise and very explosive expressions of longing to get closer to Greenland by President Trump are pushing them that way?
Well, if you have been for a long time the foreign minister of Iceland, you are allowed to ask questions like this. So, Vivian.
First of all, we have been very clear according to European Union and countries in Europe how grateful we are because they stood behind us when the times get very difficult. And for the second, we have a long cooperation with EU, and we want to have more direct cooperation with EU, more bilateral cooperation with EU, and that's why we have dialogue also to expand what we exchange between Greenland and EU. Of course, we have many solutions in Greenland according to a country very rich according to mineral resources and opportunity to solve many climate challenges, and a lot of solutions is in Greenland. Green transition and mineral resources that is needed to that transition. So it's a beneficial for both sides to expand our cooperation, not only according to what we have today, but also according to green transition.
Yeah, I know.
So I think we do have a lot of shared values with the European Union and do have a lot of cooperation as we do with the United States and as we do with Canada. But I think an important point is that just because we share values does not mean we want to be members of the European Union. There's a difference there. I can't foresee what way we will go, but I think that the fact that we used to be a colony has made the people of Greenland really aware that we only enter into cooperations where we can feel that we are an equal partner. So I think that that's a front and center for both politicians and the people of Greenland.
You want to add something? No? Okay. So let's have some more questions. Put up your hands. Yes, there's one in the back. If you can bring the microphone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My name's Paige Wilson. I'm an associate professor at the University of Iceland, and as has already been alluded to, Greenland has been under intense focus of world's media attention, particularly this year. And I'm just wondering if you would care to share with us, in practical, day-to-day terms, what that experience has been like for the Government of Greenland. Thank you.
The focus from the States? I'm sorry, we didn't hear it. The media focus. Oh, yeah, right. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's been intense. It's been really intense from January to maybe March, May. We didn't really sit down, I think not any of us. We were busy talking to reporters. And of course, the thing is, maybe it was a different kind of reporters than we usually talk to, because of course we do have dialogue with reporters from all over the world already in terms of mineral sector and others, but all of a sudden it was a different perspective. But I also saw it as a possibility to share with the world our reality and what we wanted. So I think on one hand it was a bit intense and maybe unwanted attention, but on the other hand I think many of us saw it as an opportunity to convey the ideas of Greenland and what we want to do with our resources and our country.
Okay, so yes. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Natalia, and Greenland's strategic importance in the Arctic has been drawn. There's been an increase of international attention on Greenland, and heritage and tradition, especially traditional knowledge and indigenous knowledge, are a heart of Greenlandic identity. And how are these values being integrated into education and culture to build resilience and strong sense of nationhood amid globalization and recent events? Thank you.
Hvordan vi arbejder med indigenous knowledge i uddannelse.
To that question, I think I want to talk in Greenlandic. There's a translation right after me. Nunatsinni pingaartoriorussuuvu idinniartitaana qaffassallugu. Ullumikkut 74% innuttaasut idinniangaqangillat. Taamaattumi nunarsuarmi misingissutsit nunarsuarmi tatisimaneqarnerpu annertuumi ulluniukunani pisoq ilungersunarnikuuvoq. Taamaattumilluaama misinginarnikuuvoq eqqortunik paasissutissiinerit eqqortunu inunnut qanoq toqqaannaq sunniuteqarsinnaaneri qulakkiissallutigu paasissutissat eqqortuusut apuunneqartununatsin. Taamaammallu apeqqusiisinnaaner pingaartoriussuusimapoq. Apeqqusiisinnaaner mullu aaliangiisorujuit ilangivaat ilinniartitaaneq ilinniarsimassuserlu. Uani pingaartorujuuvoq immitsinnut ааllaavingaluta inooriaaserput ааllaavingalugu ilinniartitaaneq qaffassassangиpput. Taamaammallu nunarput angisoorujoruyussuummat pingaartissimavarput internettiatorlugu onlineikkut ilinniarsinnaane qaffassassallutigu. Illoqarfitsinningaanee qimangutinngikkaloarluta siunissami ilinniarsinnaalerusulluta. Naattumitaan.
It's very important to develop education in Greenland because there 70 to 80% of Greenland is not educated. So it's very important to develop it. And it's very important to develop the education in Greenland to make communication better.
Can I maybe supplement and say, well, when you talk about indigenous knowledge in Greenland, I mean, it's different than many other places, because when indigenous peoples are a minority, their knowledge should be injected into the majority assessment of things. In Greenland, we are the majority. So oftentimes we don't talk about it as especially indigenous. We are just doing what we do with our culture, and that is the dominant trend in the culture. So sometimes we're not even aware that what we're doing would be considered indigenous other places. It's just us being us.
Maybe also a supplement according to we are now creating our research act or legislation. Focus on indigenous knowledge is very based on that. And also us being chair of Arctic Council, we have 1.5 years left, but focus on indigenous knowledge, old knowledge, how important it is. It is also ourselves that has been so great to find solutions, living in so remote places. So of course it's very, very important knowledge to share and to protect. Yes, and focus on that in politics is very high.
Well, thank you very much for, first of all, being here, and secondly, to answer all these questions. Our time is almost up. We have 1 more minute. Maybe if you can answer in 1 or 2 sentences, you don't have to answer all 3 of you. Where do you see Greenland in 10 years' time?
At the same place.
Right.
Well, I think we will have where do we see the world in 10 years, right? So much will depend on how the now shifting tectonic plates of politics are moving. But I do think that regardless of what happens in politics on a global stage, the climate crisis is real and is coming. So I do think the green transition, we need to take care of that, and that will drive a demand for mineral sector, for instance. So that will be, in a business perspective, very much a part of the Greenlandic economy. So I think that will continue to grow, and our solutions in hydropower and carbon capture and storage and all that the sustainable aspect of doing business, I think, will be part of our everyday life.
Okay, Vivian, you want 1 sentence to close this? Yes.
I think that we will see more independent Greenland in 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, all of you. And as we thank you for your participation,